Welcome all, this is Rob Cox, also known as Galen Garms in Second Life, and we're here with the University of Canberra 2012, and this is the exam build question. And what I've done is I've just, for one of the classes, one of the tutorials, I have created copies of the exam submissions for the building part of the exam. This takes about 40 minutes and is done at the end of the semester. And we give the students some example pictures, and you'll see those now. Okay, and now with those example pictures, the students are expected to build something that looks something like those, or at least in this case a tractor. It doesn't have to be exactly like any of the pictures or modelled on them, it just has to be a tractor. So they can use their own creativity and their own flair. At the end of it they submit it to me, and I then res it here and mark it, and I have marked these already, but I'm just going to go through roughly. Now this was the one that got the top mark. This student took roughly 40 minutes from what I can tell to build this particular tractor, and what you can see is that it's got small wheels at the front, large wheels at the back, curved mudguards, an exhaust that has a light grey smoke coming out of it which is affected by wind, and at the front there's a grille. It's got quite a nice steering wheel and a seat that I can sit on, which I'll show you now. There we are, and you can see that when you look at the tractor and you see me sitting in it, it's pretty reasonable. It looks fairly reasonable to scale. You know, I look like I fit in this thing about the right size. So that to me is a very good build, and for 40 minutes worth of work it certainly represents something that not everyone can do. So this student got a very good mark indeed. Now let's take a look at some of the other students. The next highest mark in the class, I think, was this one over here. Now this student, obviously not quite as good. You can tell that it's just really a box with wheels. But they've modified the particle system, so it's a very dark black smoke, which I can't say I find particularly aesthetic, but ignoring the aesthetics of that, it's not a bad build. Small wheels at the front, the texturing is not quite as good as the other one. Some attempt at mudguards, as you can see. The seat is approximately to scale. The back wheels are a bit small really, but not too bad. There's a glass box, a glass sort of canopy around it, and yeah, it's worthy of a reasonable mark, and certainly that student got somewhat better than a pass for that submission. Now let's take a look at another one here, this one here. The student submitted several versions with different stages of completion really. There's a grille on the front. The wheel textures are a little bit disappointing, sort of missed the point of the pointed texture that I gave them, but the seat it's also a fraction large, slightly out of scale. The seat's a little bit primitive, but the particle system's reasonable, comes from the end of the exhaust pipe, so it's not bad. I can't remember what mark I gave it, but I expect I would have given it probably a somewhat better than a pass, you would think, up towards a credit probably. Here is a build that's certainly not a very good build at all. What you can see here is that the student has really lost the concept of scale completely. If I sit on the seat, I just look ridiculous. The thing is completely and totally out of scale. The particle system comes from the middle of the exhaust. The wheels are round, but the struts on them are not in the center. The texture is not what I was after, but the texture on the outside of the wheel is not ridiculous. There's some attempt at some kind of a hubcap or some colouring there. I don't quite know what the student was after there, but obviously they tried something and probably it didn't work. There's no grill on the front, which is really disappointing, and they've used a grass texture, which is a bit disappointing as well, and a tile texture for the seat, which is not brilliant. They've got transparent sides. This is not a great build. For 40 minutes worth of work, you'd think you could probably do a little better than that, you'd hope, after the unit. But having said that, this is under exam conditions. Have a bit of sympathy for the student. They've got me staring at them. They've got 40 minutes to build something. There's a lot of pressure, and I think that anyone that gets a submission in of any sort is actually, doing something that's quite worthwhile. So that one was perhaps a fraction disappointing. Now this one over here, which I'm walking to now, is probably the most innovative of them all. The student didn't use the example pictures at all. Used my wheel textures and then kind of badly deformed them. But the wheels aren't that bad that you'd really be that disappointed. The seat texture is a cushion texture, so it is a seat at least. And the student really it's quite different from the others. In Australia, by the way, there are many tractors with front and back wheels the same size, so I certainly don't object to that. And there's stairs, you can kind of walk up them, walk into the tractor. So the students made some effort at something there. It's a bit innovative, a bit different, certainly didn't copy from anyone. And the big disappointment on this one is the steering wheel, which just looks like it'd be ready to murder your throat if something went wrong. It almost looks like they made the steering wheel and then put it in upside down. Certainly this is not that bad a build. It's very innovative, and the stairs work. I wasn't as harsh on it as I could have been, given that it really doesn't look that much like a tractor. So I just want to come back to our best build and encourage all students to realise that this is really what you're aiming for. If you can build something like this in 40 minutes, then you've really learned about as much as you're going to get out of the unit in terms of building things. And this is a neat bit of work. Just look at the attention to detail here. The exhaust pipe is just not a straightforward piece of pipe. The steering wheel is, a little piece of construction. And this is really quite a good bit of work. And all kudos to all the students. It was a great year. I had a lot of fun, and I hope you see your work on YouTube and smile, even if you're not one of the best students. Your work's made it to YouTube, so please smile and enjoy yourself. I think it was a good year, and I enjoyed teaching you.